Hello, everyone. I am excited to come on today because I have two topics in my mind. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to discuss both of them, but one I'm going to discuss tomorrow. So, again, hello to all of you. My name is Roxanne Marion. I'm coming on here on Facebook, which is Awareness Month for MS. And I have a YouTube channel, which is Miss Grace Glamour and Grit, standing for the MS. And I am jumping on today to talk to you about I'm actually looking for two people, and I was going to discuss something else, but I feel like if I say I will discuss the factors of MS tomorrow, I think I can get both of them on. So, Anthony, and don't mind if I'm blocking on your name right now because I knew it when I started this conversation. And then all of a sudden it just went out of my head. Last name Wallace, Ms. Wallace. So I will be talking about the factors of MS tomorrow because I want to make sure that I discuss it with you guys because the idea came to my mind when I was on with you all. But today I want to discuss something that's been happening to me lately with the cognitive. And let me tell you what's been going on. I've had some money issues. I've had some money issues um because of the cognitive issues. So I had an issue where someone was trying to take money out of my account. I was at the bank. I had talked to them about it. And I then when I had talked to them about it, they had said, just come back with this paper. I was supposed to come back that day, which was Friday. I didn't go back. You know why? Because I had completely forgot. Between walking out of the bank and going to the car, I completely forgot about it. And also there's another company that I'm supposed to be disputing because they charged me for something and took it out of my account. And I honestly believe that they were in the wrong. Believe me, they were in the wrong. And I have yet to go ahead and go forth with my dispute, which I put on Better Business Bureau. And then I was supposed to go back and update it. So I'm talking to you about it right now, but I kid you not. Give me 10 to 15 seconds and I'll forget about it. And I was really wondering what was going on with me or how can I come to grips with the fact that my cognitive issues are getting worse. And with multiple sclerosis, of course, you have the physical, you have your mobility, you might feel tremors in your hand, you might get tingling in your arms. Um, for me and for a couple of other people who come on here and they're often with me, we've talked about how awful the cognitive part is. So the cognitive is going to be memory, is going to be brain fog, is going to be problem solving, and sometimes just being able to put things together that seem to be simple processing, like our words and finding the next word. For instance, the young lady that is always on here with me, and we talk back and forth a lot. Why am I blocking her name? And I've done that with a cousin before. A cousin started coming up the walkway, and I had to ask my sister, I know who she is. Remind me of her name. So cognition is everything to me. I used to be a school teacher. Um, I used to be a trainer. Cognition got really bad for me, and I had to stop working. And a lot of people look at me physically and they're like, oh, well, it's just your right leg, you can still work. It's not about the physical, it's about the mental, and not being able to be the type of employee I would want to be. I was always a good employee. I have a high work ethic, but I cannot promise that to any employer because things are just off. So I looked up some ways that you can actually work on the cognitive, if you will. So I've been thinking about taking all of these into consideration and doing something about the issues that I'm having. And one is to go Mediterranean. So we always talk about, or when I say we, I think the world talks about how taking in the right food makes all the difference. And it does. It does. So, hi, Mary Ellen. How are you? Your break so true, so hard to share. It is so difficult to share. You say you used to be a healthcare worker and it ended up being challenging in your work. Isn't it awful? Because we know who we are, right? We know who we are. And I hate for anyone to question that, as I'm sure you do as well. Don't question who I am. I'm a great trainer, I'm a great teacher. But the client that I was training for came in and they told my boss, well, I wasn't sure that she knew the plans to tell the people that I was training. I've been there for 2 years training. Of course, I know the plans. Who doesn't know the plans? I mean, it was ridiculous, but I had to see it from their point of view that obviously it was something in my tone and the way I was teaching. So yes, your work ethic was great, and it's sad that people have to question that because of something that's going on with you that you can't show them. And that's the invisible illness part of multiple sclerosis. And people don't, because there are such visible parts, they don't even think about the invisible parts with us. And it's hard. And today, like when you say it's so sad at the end, and I'll put your comment up so others can see it, but it was so sad today, Mary Ellen, because I was standing there and I had to bring my mother into the fold, and I had to explain to her what was going on, and there was no autonomy at all. I had to just go ahead and explain it because, and I just wanted someone, I wanted to be independent enough to handle it myself, and I couldn't. And for someone who wants to move out, that was hard for me to swallow. I knew who I was, but became very appreciative about being liable, or apprehensive, sorry, about being liable for messing up, yes, on things I knew, but the responsibility was scaring me, yes. I stopped teaching for that reason. I mean, I used to be a teacher in middle school, and I stopped teaching for that reason because I was like, it's too much responsibility. If I mess up something, this is going to follow those kids, through high school, because I taught middle school, and I had to choose where they were going to be in high school when they went to high school. So am I going to put them in honors classes, or am I going to put them in regular classes? I was like, and I know yours is like much more responsibility. And because you were in healthcare and you're talking about life or death when you're in healthcare, and it's so disheartening to have to make the decision Yeah. Yeah. Autonomy autonomy is serious. And I know I took it for granted. And like you said, just taking for granted the fact that I don't have to depend on anyone else, or I don't have to. I mean, I'm pretty open about my age. I'm 47 years old. I've been living with my parents for a little while here, and it started for other reasons. I was depressed, and I really didn't care about, going on. I got divorced from my husband and things of that nature. It started with that. But with me living here, they saw the falls and they saw me not, you know, do things as quickly as I was able to do. They saw the MS. They saw too much of the MS. And now they're like, oh no, don't leave. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. I keep doing that. My mother, my mother is like that. My father is like, he thinks I can move to New York and make it and be just fine. But my mother is just like, she wants to take care of everything. And I just like, yo, I can do it. I can do it. And even when I can't, let me try. So, talk about having to do lesson plans and being available. Yes, for parent teacher conferences. Yeah, it was scary, appreciative, and the tools that they give our children of teachers and the tools that they get. And I see so much more now because when I was teaching, it was a thankless job. But now that I see what happens with teachers and how much they give to it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, teachers do so much. I can see it from the viewpoint of the fact that I used to be a teacher, but also from the viewpoint of, yo, you have to give them credit. You give credit when where credit is due. So yeah, but I could see from a healthcare worker's position, my aunt was a nurse forever, and then she went into nurse management, and I just and then if you look at during COVID how much healthcare workers did, and again it was became a thankless job, and it was like, gosh, you're holding up the whole country. So yeah, the cognitive is serious, guys. And if you've dealt with that before, they say go Mediterranean. So some of the food that you're putting into your body is going to help the way that your brain functions. It's like putting in too much sugar or too much processed food, and all of a sudden you feel really tired and you're dragged down. Well, a Mediterranean diet is supposed to give you the fuel that you need to keep things going, to be sharp. And sometimes we don't think of that because we just look at what it is we want. I know that I don't pack a lunch or don't make my lunch thinking, ooh, this is going to help me with my cognitive. But if I am serious about having a Mediterranean diet, and I keep that first in mind or in my sight, then I might say I have to stick with this because I want my cognitive to be better. Now, I think I have said on here that I am going not vegan, but vegetarian, and I've I've been there before. I remember feeling better when I took meat out of my diet. I just started eating meat again because it's hard to live in a house with people who eat meat. And it was hard, but it also tasted differently because I had gone so long without it. So I am going to consider the Mediterranean. I know fish does give you some things that help the mind and things that that nature, fish and I think just fish. I don't want to say poultry because I don't really believe that part about it, but Mediterranean diet, they say. They also say number two, they say exercise because it changes and is so helpful for our heart health and our brain health. And it has an impact on us. So you can put that in there. Hey, Anthony, I was looking for you and I was looking for I want to call her Rebecca. I don't think her name is Rebecca. You know the whole memory thing. I said Ms. Wallace because I remember her last name and it's killing me. I'm like, if you two were on at first, I was going to talk about the factors that go into MS, but I will talk about it tomorrow because I did find some factors. But right now, we are talking about cognitive and the things that we need to do as far as enhancing our cognitive. You do exercise, Mary Ellen, and if nothing else, to get you out of the house. We so often talk about that on here about how much time we're spending in the house and how isolating it is. And that is actually number five here. If I can even jump down to that, number five is being able to interact with people. It's interacting with people and being able to have that conversation and that give and take and how much that in and of itself helps with your cognition. And I found that very interesting because it's true. Because we spend so much time in the house and the people that we would usually connect with, if we don't see them often, can you imagine how for them it might become, for lack of a better word, strange or odd to come see you later on and you don't have all that same the cognitive part, you know, but it will help you to keep it going if you're always conversating with somebody. If you're having conversation, I know there are two of us who have gotten divorced and we don't have our husbands around and anymore, or we talked yesterday about how when you get a divorce and the friends go with one side, and what about the people that were there to talk to? Yes, yes, I try so hard to lean into conversations, but yeah, lean into that even with people, excuse me, with people that you have not seen for a while, friends and family, even strangers, especially if you're working out outside of the home. That person who might be on the treadmill next to you, or even if you're talking to one of the trainers, just to get a little conversation in. But I, I'm like, you are doing wonderful just getting out because I sit at home a lot, and this has been wonderful. But I'm trying to do my business and I'm working on some things. But I know my friends have been like, okay, we're going to need you to take an Uber and go to a Starbucks and work out of Starbucks. And I know with me, when I do go out, when I do go out, it's easy for me to interact with people. So I probably need to spend more time out. But I do meet with my business besties every Monday, and I'm a little chatterbox. So we'll see how if that's good. I think it is good for me when I get to talk with them and when we make trips. So number two was working out, and you go out to work out. And they said to be physically active and lead those type of lives it tends to have a higher cognitive function, better than being in a sedentary lifestyle. So we definitely want to keep up with that. I do work out, need to add more. I need to be more consistent about it because to know that that will make an impact on my cognitive is a world of difference. That just changed my mindset. It was like a light switch going off. It's now it's not about do I feel like working out? It's about I should work out. If I want to feel better cognitively, I'll work out. This one surprised me. Breathe for brain boost. Just taking a breath, they're saying makes a difference in our brain function. Just making sure that you breathe deeply and get that oxygen to your brain, which I was actually like, I wouldn't think that, but it does make sense because when you think about just going along the day, are we taking the time to breathe correctly? Or are we taking shallow breaths? And when you think of meditation and breathing in and breathing out, it's so concentrated. And we're so mindful about the breath that we're taking in. And all along, we're getting the breath to the brain. It's very interesting. It would be such a blessing to bring back the cognitive, Mary Ellen. I think I teared up today because I wondered whether or not I can. That's why I looked this up. And I was like, I just needed to come back. I wouldn't, and this is why I thought I would hate to think that was completely wrong, gone. Because just like that, completely wrong, I had to write out the dispute to the bank today. And so many times I turned to my mom to ask her about a word that I was looking for. And I had to explain what I meant, like the application that they let me have something. And that was like approved, approved, approved. But for people who don't know that we have to do that, it is frustrating. Like I dated, I was dating he's a man now, but I dated my former high school sweetheart and forever took me forever to start talking to him on the phone. I was just talking to him through Messenger, through Facebook Messenger, but I did not want him to hear those delays where I can't find the words, or if you can hear something in my voice, or finding the wrong word and saying it, just like I did a little while ago, saying the wrong word and having to go back and correct myself. So luckily he was a gentleman about things and he understood, the whole MS thing. I've been very lucky that way. Even my ex-husband, he had put a lot of time and energy into looking up MS and what he could do for me and how he could help me get to the point where I would learn that I have to do things to make it better. So he did that a lot. Um, breathing is physiological. Yes, physiologic benefits in many ways. Yes, and but just think, meditation. They talk about meditation and mindfulness a lot, but that neurologically, that breathing needs to be a regulated exercise that we do. And to actually think we're taking a deep breath, or to actually think about taking deep breaths instead of our shallow breathing, which you might not spend enough time getting that breath to your brain. So, oxygen. And then this one, Number four, and I know it's supposed to be five, but we talked about that. So, number four, reboot your brain with sleep. How often do we get to sleep on on this format, on this platform? We talk about sleep a lot because MS is a fatigue that we always are dealing with fatigue. It's just a drainer. We can wake up and still be tired. And often I say that if you're tired, go ahead and rest. Sleep. That that's your body telling you that you need to sleep. And even if you know the MS is just coming up and it's causing me to go through fatigue again, rest. Someone wants you to go ahead and come out with them and do all this stuff and you just feel drained, rest anyway. Don't worry about saying, "Oh, I should hang out with my friends. I haven't done it in a long time." Your body is telling you that you need to rest. Take naps, go to bed early. Start yourself on a schedule. Get yourself on a routine where your body will be like, "Hey, it's time to sleep now." Um, I will say about the whole sleep thing, one thing that I realized, so you guys know I don't have my own kids. So I borrow, my niece's kids. So the littles, I call them the littles, and they were over yesterday. Again, they're 3, 4, and 8. So the 3-year-old, she was so grumpy yesterday. And I just started thinking, you know what? You probably need a nap. And she's like, no, Auntie, I don't. No, I don't need a nap. I was like, well, just come with the Auntie. And I brought her in here and I laid her down. And I laid down. It's the perfect excuse. Take those moments. Take those moments. Lay down when you need to lay down because it's only going to help you. So, and this is saying that you need to reboot your brain with sleep because when you think of it, you need to unplug it. So, just like a computer, sometimes your computer needs to go through an update and it won't do that until you turn it off. My phone has been telling me the whole time for about 3 or 4 days that it has an update to put on it. But I never cut it off. I never do any of that stuff. So I have to press it to let it know, okay, you could do that. But our brains aren't functioning properly when we don't get between 6 and 9 hours of sleep. And honestly, probably between 7. This says 6, but I can't even imagine getting just 6. But 7 to 9 hours sleep because it's like a computer. If it's not rested well enough where you're like, you have to think about something longer. I know I have to think about things longer. It takes me probably about 5 seconds longer to figure something out when I don't get enough sleep. And yes, never ending fatigue, Mara. Ariel, this is exactly what we feel always. Um, Still wake up and feel spent. Going on for years, but that's okay. I think I love the term the littles. Thank you. Call them the littles. And the 8-year-old doesn't think she's a little, but when I talk about the littles, she is one of the littles. So, yeah, take those moments instead of fighting it. I think we often try to we try to work. There's something specifically I'm trying to say. We try to do things as if we are at work, as though we have to check this schedule off or check a list of things we're doing well. And if we're like, oh, was I awake for the full 16 hours? Or did I put the kid down for a nap and then go multitasking? Multitasking. I could have put her down and gone out there. Yes, pushed through. I could have gone, put her down, gone out there, finished helping my mom in the kitchen. Then I would have gone ahead and gotten to the book, which I saw, the book that I was trying to actually get done and read. And I don't have to check off a list to make sure that I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, that I'm responsible for. I'm not the manager or supervisor at work. I'm not giving me, you know, is she doing her job? It's okay. It's okay not to complete everything. There's a time and a place for all of that. And I think we often see it at work where they're like, okay, did she do this right? Oh, she never does this. She's never on time and she's not the evaluation that they give. Stop evaluating yourself. Yesterday we talked about how MS is like a snowflake. They're unique in all of us. All these symptoms, our diagnoses, all of it is all unique. No two people are alike. But we have to remember that that's how we are, period. No 2 days are going to be alike with MS. And you have to give yourself some grace and not be concerned with trying to impress that evaluator because you're the one who's the evaluator when you're at home. You're not at work. You don't have to impress somebody. And then your body has to be held accountable. And that's okay if you treat yourself well too. Exactly. Exactly. Your you treating yourself well is going to be much better than you being like, oh, I should have done A, B, C, D, and E today, and I only got 4 things done instead of 5. It's okay. Then tomorrow comes and you get to start over. You get to start all over again. I have a friend who when she writes us in the morning, she says, God has given you a new day to do all the things that you need to do. And she says, greetings. She said, God has blessed you with a new day to get done whatever he has purposed you to do on earth. And every day is a chance to add to what you're purposed to do. Your job isn't over, and you just want to continue adding to it. You don't want to say, okay, I give up. I've been there. I've given up before. I literally for 5 years was laying here and I thought to myself, well, I just have to wait to die now because I'm done. Everything else is done with. It wasn't true. That's not true. If we're still alive, there's something that we have to do. Yeah, should have, could have, or would have. So move on to your next day. Move on to your next day. It's okay if it doesn't get done. When you wake up in the morning and open your eyes, you have more time to do it. And as far as cognitive is concerned, remember you're going to want to Mediterranean diet, work out, definitely the workout part, breathe for your brain, reboot your brain with sleep, that thing that our bodies always want to do because of the MS. So, and then connect with friends and family. And Marielle and I'm so taken aback that you get out there and exercise because I think it's awesome. That is just not something I've done, but I need to think about connecting with other people. And those are the ways that I can connect with other people. It's getting out there and exercising. Instead of exercising at home, why not get out and join a gym, you know, and have to go there and exercise? That would be really cool. Just because right now I don't seem to be able to get small tasks done, that's a change. You don't seem to be able to do it, possibly because it's more important for you to rest now. It might be. I know we don't want to think about, especially my small tasks. I think sometimes, oh, Roxanne, you can just go do that real quick. And then I sit on the bed and I wait. You're still taking the bag. Oh, you saw this episode. Oh, yes. I'm glad you saw this episode. I'm glad you came on. I've not made it a specific time. I think I'm going to make my specific time for Wednesdays, and I'm probably going to do it around either 6 or 7. I'm going to give myself one more week to figure it out, but I have so much fun getting on and talking to people about that one thing that we can't really talk to a lot of people about, you know? So it's so nice to talk to you all and us just learn each other and learn the MS and say, hey, I've gone through that too. And so Sundays, I think I'm going to do a question. Like yesterday, I said, whatever questions you have, just give me questions. And we talked a lot about, I have MS brain, but we talked about, but it is on the Facebook page. The Facebook page is Awareness Month for MS. And we've just been talking a whole lot about MS and kind of leaning on each other and learning things from one another, because other people ask other people questions, and it's been really cool. So I hope you join us again. I usually remember names really well, and I will be back on. I think I'll be back on probably around the same time. 7 o'clock felt good. So I will be back on, and I hope you, yes, it's been so spontaneously fun. I'm glad. Cognitive challenges. We need to have, yeah, an awareness flag flying very high for that. People just do not understand how lucky they are to be able to do this. When the education, you get this education, you learn these new things, and you just keep going up. And I feel like for us, it's going up, and then and people just don't understand. And I'm just like, no, really, I meant to come back to the bank on Friday. So I just forgot. But it was a pleasure talking with you, Mary Ellen. I hope you join me again on here. And I'm going to start posting. I always record on my YouTube channel, which is Miss Grace Glamour and Grit, Miss standing for the MS. And I'm going to start putting them up tomorrow. So it was a pleasure speaking to you, and I will see you again. Bye. Bye, everyone. Have a great night.